Congratulations on getting engaged. Now's an incredibly exciting time to start looking for your venue. You go looking for your venue, there's a certain number of things you want to make sure you ask the venue that you might not have realized yet, and hopefully revealed in this video. A question you definitely want to ask a venue is what dates are available around a chosen month. You might have in your mind you want to get married on a Saturday in July, but talk to your venue. There might be discounts to go into the middle of the week. There normally are. There might be certain days, in June or August. So before you get too precise on a date, chat with your venue. There'll be loads of options and give you a lot more flexibility. A really important question to ask your venue is about their capacity. There are 3 capacities you want to know. How many can they seat for dining? How many can they have in the evening reception? And how many can they have accommodated, so staying the night? Another is to ask how many guests the venue can accommodate. We're at a beautiful venue here, one of the Bridebook venues. This room seats 150 people. So it's a very large room, but that doesn't mean you need 150 guests. You could have more, but you can get the balance with evening guests and daytime guests. That will help you save budget as well. You might also find a smaller venue, and actually knowing all the different capacities will teach you a lot about managing your guest list and what's possible. Another really important question to ask your venue is whether a marriage ceremony can take place at the venue and which rooms that's allowed in. In the UK, there are different laws between the different countries from where marriage can take place. In England, you have approved premises, and that means the marriage can take place at certain venues and only in certain rooms of those venues. So when you go to your venue, ask them what's possible in each room, which rooms are approved. If they're not an approved premises, that means you'll have to get married somewhere else. That could be a registry office, that could be a religious facility, and then you'll come to the venue. If you're in Scotland, it's different. You're allowed to get married outdoors in Scotland, and there's more flexibility. In England, currently, you can't get married outdoors, and you have to work with the venue for that. Only if it's under a gazebo, actually, in the UK, or a physical premises. You can't get married in the open air. So knowing if you can get married at the venue is incredibly important, and always ask that question. Before booking your venue, always ask what timings you're able to use the venue for. There will be a certain window where you're allowed to arrive and a certain timing they expect you to depart. But have real clarity on that. Some venues will allow the caterers in at a certain time, earlier than guests. Some venues will only allow the couple in and then allow guests later. That's often the case when there are bedrooms involved, so they'll have check-in for the couple at a certain time, but then guests will be in the afternoon, giving them time to prepare the whole venue. That's exactly the same in the evening, or if you're staying the night. They might say guests have to depart at a certain time. Caterers or florists who might be collecting stuff can come in after that, but guests need to have departed by then. One thing that's important to most couples is finding out, will there be any other weddings or events taking place at the same time as mine? On Bridebook, you can filter for exclusive use to make sure the venue's an exclusive use venue if that's important to you, but always ask the venue. Make sure you have full confidence if you want this exclusivity and privacy, that's what's going to take place and there won't be anything else going on at your venue on your day. Always ask your venue about the guidelines for decorations. A lot of venues are historic buildings or have very close family attachments to these buildings. That's where you want to find out what is possible. Can I put decorations around this painting? Can we put flowers on these antiques? In some cases, there'll be really strict restrictions. Some very historic buildings will have really defined rules. Often barn venues might be more lax and more rustic venues. Make sure you know exactly what's possible. Work with your team. They'll often have guidelines they can easily share with you, so you have full confidence and you can pass those on to your florist, to your dance floor provider, people like that, so everyone's all aligned and on the same page, and then no surprises. One of the most important things about your wedding is going to be the food, and venues deal with catering in very different ways. So a question you always want to ask is, do you have an approved catering list? And what that generally means is if a venue doesn't have an in-house caterer, is they have a list of caterers that you're required to use. So you can't just find any caterer. They have a list of caterers they vetted and approved. And on that, you then want to ask them, can we see sample menus? This will be a shorter list of caterers. You want to see the budget of these caterers. You want to see what's possible. If there's certain cuisines or cultural catering elements that are important to you, make sure those are possible with the caterers you're going to be able to choose from. A very important part of many weddings is alcohol and the drinks that can be served. Some venues will just allow you to bring all your own alcohol and your own drink. Some venues won't allow you to do any of that, and some there will be a middle ground. So talk to your venue about this. Ask if they charge corkage. This is where you're bringing your own alcohol, but they'll charge you per bottle you open. This cost goes into serving the drinks, providing the glassware, providing the ice, things like that. But make sure you have full confidence and understanding. If you're bringing your alcohol, are you allowed to do that? And if so, will you be charged for doing that? If you're not bringing your own alcohol, talk to the venue about how they provide alcohol. Do they have a paid bar? And is there going to be a required minimum spend? Find out what that is early on. Also find out what's on the menu, and you might want to create your own menu that restricts certain drinks to being provided by yourself, like beer and wine, and maybe other drinks are paid for by the guests themselves. Or what you can do, which is a really nice touch, we did it at my own wedding actually, was design a few cocktails yourself. So we had the Rosy Fizz that was named after my wife, and this allows not only your guests to sort of have a smile as they order one of these drinks, but also makes it a lot easier for the drink staff to be serving, the same drink, which will make your bar move a lot quicker, adds a lot of fun, and keeps things a lot simpler. When booking your venue, really get into the finer details. You'll look at the amazing rooms and their photos, find out what's included and what you're going to have to get yourself. So that might be glassware, it could be tableware, linen, napkins, crockery, cutlery. Ask them all these questions. You're working with a caterer, the caterer will be completely used to going and sourcing this stuff. Your venue likely will be able to easily help you source it, but find out what's already there and what are you going to have to go and source yourself, just so there are no surprises. One of the highlights of most weddings is the dancing and the music afterwards. Talk to your venue about what's possible. Can they fit in the 10-piece brass band you're dreaming of, or is there not enough space in the main room? Another one is power supply, and maybe connect your supplier, your band or your DJ with your venue, or just ask those questions early. Some historic buildings will have limitations on how much power this actual infrastructure can take. Ask those questions early. Most professional venues will be very used to doing all of this. Read couples' reviews, build up that confidence and find a venue that's ready to host exactly what you're looking for. While some couples choose to have a child-free wedding, more often than not, there might be some children at a wedding. That's a great thing to ask your venue about. Do they have some child-friendly services or areas at the venue? Do they have a creche or a room that's perfect for children for their own dining and things like that? It's very important to ask your venue about disabled access and also think broadly about your guests. Often most weddings have some older members of family. You can think of venues that have huge staircases and difficult entrances. Think about all your guests and find out how are the facilities going to be friendly to the less able guests in your guest party. Understanding who from the venue will be at your wedding on your wedding days, really important. Will it just be a single member of staff just there in case of challenges? Will you have a wedding coordinator who's going to help you run the whole day as smoothly as possible? Will the wedding coordinator be someone you're going to work with all through your engagement until the wedding day, or is this a new member of staff you'll meet on the day? If they don't have this provider, you can always hire one. We have lots of wedding coordinators and planners on Bridebook, but finding out early is really important. Getting married in the UK, the weather is always going to be an important topic in your wedding, especially if you're planning a lot outdoors. Always talk to your venue about a plan B. What if it's very wet? What if the weather's different to as expected? Work out a plan B that will still be a great occasion. Understanding that will also help you relax, not checking your weather app every 5 minutes, knowing either way you're going to have a brilliant party. Some couples want to have fireworks at their wedding. It's really important to check with your venue, and a lot of venues won't allow this due to respect of the neighbours. A lot of venues are in the countryside, they have animals and livestock nearby, they have neighbours nearby, and that's where they will put a restriction on fireworks. Some venues will only allow low noise fireworks. These have smaller bangs, are more respectful of local wildlife and local neighbours. Ask your venue early on if fireworks are something important to you. This might sound like a boring one, but ask about car parking. If you're bringing coaches with friends or you're bringing a lot of guests in the evening, find out how many spaces there are there going to be any issues? Some venues, especially if it's a city centre venue, you need to find out how does it all work? That's where actually arranging coaches can be a lot of fun, gets the excitement up before and after the wedding, but also solves any car parking challenges. You might be nervous to talk to your venue about when do I have to pay and fees, but talk about this up front. Your venue's not going to be afraid of this. You're going to have a contract. Everything's going to be written out in a lot of detail, but chat this through and make sure you understand it all. When are payments due? Are there any other fees that you should know about? If you're having a ceremony in the house, often there's a fee. Is there a deposit? How will you get your deposit back? Talk to your venue and build up a lot of confidence so you're relaxed, you know exactly where you are. A small thing that can have a big impact to always ask about and look out for is VAT. This can mean your wedding is 20% more or less expensive than you were imagining. So always ask them, of the prices listed, is that inclusive of VAT? A quick question to always check is to ask your venue, do they have liability insurance? This is just going to make sure if there are any unfortunate scenarios, you and your guests are all protected and looked after. That's what every professional venue will have, so don't be afraid of asking about it. The final question that I highly recommend is ask your venue what they recommend. They have seen loads of weddings take place at your venue. They will have all the insights. What's the best place for the dance floor? What's a great camera angle? What are the secret surprises or ways to use different rooms? These people are so insightful. They love seeing weddings go brilliantly, and they can give you so many tips and tricks. So befriend your venue team and they will give you all the secrets to make sure your wedding's absolutely incredible. So I know that was a lot of questions, but I hope we've given you lots of answers, all of them helping you have the most incredible celebration at an incredible venue. If you ever have any questions, make sure you go on the Bridebook app. We have thousands of venues, all with their frequently asked questions. Read the reviews, go and see what other couples have been saying, and of course, subscribe on our YouTube and we'll have more great videos like this.